In this video, we'll discuss about switch your perspective. Oftentimes, people feel that their focus is not under their control. You may have had the same suspicions about yourself. But the truth is that what you focus on is what you experience. If you spend too much time focusing on things you don't need, your mind gets caught in a web. You try to multitask, switch from one thing to the next, or simply end up putting things off. And with time, it becomes hard to break out of the habit of switching and being distracted all the time. However, the simple truth is that your happiness depends on the way you think and how you respond to the environment you live in. Perspective has a huge role to play when it comes to your happiness. So how do you train your mind to stay more focused, and how can you switch your perspective? Here are some steps you can take to do so. Stay with one thing at a time. Too many people are guilty of doing too many things at the same time. When you demand your attention to jump from one thing to another, you will have a busy, fractured, and most likely unproductive day. Switching tasks frequently requires a supreme level of functioning, meaning that you have to use a lot of brain power and energy even before you start a task. No wonder it ends up draining your effectiveness. Zen teaches you to do the exact opposite. With Zen habits in your life, you will choose a task that needs doing and then stick with it. A good starting point may be to ask why this particular task is important for you. If you can give yourself a good enough reason why this task means more than others, then that's where you need to start. As you start the task, shift all your attention to it. Shut out any distractions and clear your mind. Don't think about or start doing something else until you have finished what you started. Train yourself to focus on the task at hand and resist the urge to look elsewhere. This practice will keep you steadily grounded in the present and let you give your best to whatever task you choose to do. This rule is applicable to even the most simple of things. For instance, when you eat, just eat. When you pour water, just do that. When you go walking, just walk. In instances where you may have to move on to something else, at least put away the unfinished task to return to later. Taking it slow in this way doesn't mean you're being lazy. What it does mean is that you're doing it right. You may be doing less, but you're doing it well. On the way, you'll have to deal with everyday distractions, like the digital world, for instance. In fact, there is now a lot of research pointing to the fact that digital distractions are making people not only dumb, but also twitchy. Not only does this concern stop you from concentrating, it also stops you from resting, both of which are equally damaging. Focus on the process. Changing perspective requires your focus. You can't adopt a positive life if you can't learn to focus. Focusing on the process and how things should be dealt with will make you wiser. Here, it's important that instead of focusing on the outcome, focus on the process. This will help you in quite a few different ways. For instance, focusing on the process will eliminate external factors. What this means is that decisions based on outcomes often end up using wrong techniques. But when you focus on how to get things done, you are better able to polish your skills. As you work your way through something, you realize the pitfalls and also discover ways to remediate the problems. Plus, focusing on the process also lets you enjoy the moment. You become more engaged in the present and at what you're doing, and you will do it better too. Another perk of focusing on the process rather than the outcome is that you get more control over what you're doing. In other words, you don't have control over the outcome, but you do have control over the process. When you give something your best, the outcome is likely to be good as well. If anything, focusing on the process will make you more confident in the way it lets you learn skills. These skills will make you better at decision making. You will have fewer worries about the future, and your focus will be on the present. To better focus on the process, engage in only one thing at a time. Do the work slowly and deliberately. This doesn't mean lazily, only that you need to take your time and move purposefully. When doing so, make your actions deliberate instead of random. There is also a need to put space between things. What this means is that try not to schedule things too close together, but leave some gaps in between. This will give you a more relaxed structure to work with. It will also provide some wiggle room if one task takes longer than expected. The whole point of Zen is to enjoy what you're doing, so try not to rush through your life. Don't rationalize. Rationalization is defined as something where you apparently come up with rational explanations for certain behaviors. The point is to make that behavior seem optimal, even when it's not. However, the same definition could also lead you to conclude that rationalization essentially is the act of making excuses. Either way, rationalizing doesn't always help, which is why you need to avoid it. When you want to incorporate Zen habits into your life, you need to stop making excuses. As you've seen earlier, Zen does require a certain degree of discipline. So while missing one day of meditation won't derail your progress much, making it a habit certainly can. The biggest problem with skip days like these is that they eventually lead to quitting or giving up. The one-time exception then becomes the rule. Such getting off track can make it very difficult to get back on track. That's why Zen encourages establishing a daily routine, as we will see in an upcoming chapter. For now, let's talk a bit more about rationalization. You use rationalization when you try to justify less than optimal behavior or feelings. So what you're doing is finding a way to distort facts to make things appear better than they actually are. Here's something to think about. You say you're going to follow a diet plan, but that only lasts the first 3 days. Or you have every intention of going to the gym since you got a membership, but only do it once. So what happens here? A few possibilities could be that you aren't serious about it, you forget why it's important, or it becomes too difficult. You may also give up in disappointment, or you start to rationalize. When something becomes difficult, your mind rationalizes, telling you it's okay if you skip something once, or it's okay to have just one more since you worked so hard for it. While this may all sound reasonable, it starts to sabotage your plans. And once you start believing these rationalizations, sticking to anything becomes next to impossible. In this video, we'll talk about simplify your life. The world you live in today exposes you to many complications. At times you end up complicating life because of overthinking. Otherwise, you end up overspending, overworking, or even overcommitting. All in all, it's an effort to get too many things done in too short a time. Overdoing anything also complicates things, while Zen tries to teach you how to keep life simple. If you want to have a happy life, you have to learn the art of simplification. Going back to its original philosophy, this simply means keeping only the important things part of your life and removing the rest. If you think about your material possessions, getting rid of unwanted or unused stuff will certainly clear your space. This will give you peace of mind and make you happy to have a clean and open house to live in. Try not to fill it in with more unnecessary stuff, for that just kills the idea of simplification. But when you take the same idea to another level, simplifying life can also help you get through dark times. When you clear your mind of negativity and unruly thoughts that don't matter, you also provide space to your mind. This space will help you absorb things that are actually important. Clear out your mind by taking in only what keeps it fresh. Say if you're a book collector and keep on stocking books endlessly, there will come a time when you'll run out of space. You'll either have to stop buying new books or chuck out some old ones. Similarly, if you keep on adding unnecessary stress and things to your life, there will also come a time when you'll collapse. On the other hand, if you choose to select only what is important, you'll feel weightless and happier. How you want your life to be happy depends completely on your own choices. Here's another example to consider. Suppose you keep holding on to a grudge and dislike for someone. In the end, you'll only be wasting your time and energy dwelling over possible scenarios that might never take place. The only way you can overcome all this is to simplify your life by letting go of things that don't matter. Prioritize. Once again, let's start off with a reminder of what's most important to you. Make this your unequivocal priority and stick to it. Ideally, the structure of your daily life should be a reflection of your priorities. If you say that family is your priority, then make a commitment to spend a designated time with your spouse and kids. If you say health is a priority, then you should be doing everything you can for a healthier you. Are you truly staying away from bad or tempting foods and getting your daily dose of exercise, or are your other commitments getting in the way? When you prioritize, you need to be honest with yourself. What do you truly desire, and what is standing in your way? If you can honestly answer these two questions, you can start simplifying your life fairly easily. As you prioritize, you'll also be filtering out a lot of excess baggage. In other words, you'll be simplifying your life. It can become a process where you rearrange your life so that it closely reflects your priorities. If you long to spend more quality time with your kids and other significant half, then streamline your emails, put away your phone, or even cut back on your work hours. If you really want to paint, then clear out your room and make a studio space for yourself. Once you have prioritized your concerns, move on to the next step. Declutter. When you think declutter, you're thinking about physical as well as mental space. This is a process of purging where you get rid of everything that is meaningless in life or no longer offers a utility. You can start small by allotting 15 to 20 minutes of your day decluttering a chosen corner of your house. It could be a shelf or a cabinet. Stop after 15 minutes and come back to it the next day. Or you could assign one entire morning to clean out your pantry or wardrobe and get it over with. You can go with whichever method works for you best. As you purge, assign 3 boxes labeled trash, keep, and maybe. The first 2 should be simple enough if you follow this advice. Anything that you haven't used in the last year can go. You probably won't use it in the next year, too. Keep it if you use it all the time and it still has some years left in it. The maybe stash can be a bit tricky, but don't let it overwhelm you. This should be for things about which you're on the fence. Keep the box out of sight, and if you don't use it in the next 6 months, toss it out as well. The trick for success in decluttering is to be merciless. The less stuff you have, the fewer distractions there will be, and the simpler your life. You'll see that one of the things that give you true peace of mind is a clean, simple house. When you talk about decluttering your mind, you'll notice that overthinking exposes your mind to blockage. Because of overload at times, you are unable to think properly. You need to deal with this quickly, as it won't allow you to be happy for long. A blocked mind becomes unaware of anything happening around it. The stream of clutter you've accumulated in there turns your mental space into a chaotic mess. And soon enough, just like your closets and your cabinets, your mind needs tidying up as well. If you're not sure about what kind of mental clutter is holding you back, just think about these things. Worrying about the future, ruminating about the past, thinking of everyday routines, complaints and grudges, regrets, commitments, If these thoughts are constantly on your mind, you need to clean out some headspace. For starters, not everything needs attention. What's happened in the past is done and can't be undone. What the future holds is not entirely in your hands, so cross that bridge when you come to it. Any negative thoughts that you may be harboring need to go as well, for these will always hold you back. Build a positive skill set. You need to do more than just exist. You need to live. Most people think that existing is enough simply because they have too much going on with not enough time to get it done in. It keeps them so busy that they can't really bother with things like simplification. The problem with this scenario is that they miss out on the essence of life. To simplify means to indulge in a little bit of management. Manage your time and your life wisely so you develop a skill set of lifelong habits, organization, and punctuality. As you simplify things when starting or stopping a habit, it can make life easy. For example, if you want to join a gym, choose one that is close to home. This will make it more convenient for you to go there every day easily. If you choose one that's far away, not only will you spend a lot of time getting there, you may stop sooner than planned because of the distance. Likewise, keeping things simple can also teach you to become more organized. When you practice simplification, you learn how to manage things more efficiently. This reduces the element of wastage, and you not only learn how to save on costs, but also how to improve your overall living standards. And finally, when you complicate things, you also waste a lot of time. You overthink things that don't require attention and complicate them further. Simplifying such matters teaches you punctuality and the importance of time. By keeping things simple, you learn how to get them done well and on time. In this video, we'll learn about be mindful in the present. Mindfulness is an ability that helps you recognize the happiness already present in your life. You don't have to wait years to find happiness. It is already there. You just have to see it. Being mindful makes you realize that you are alive and breathing. It is when you are at peace with the present moment as it arrives. It may not be what you expected or wanted, but you are content with it. This is perhaps one of the most important habits you'll need to infuse in your life if you want to make it more Zen. Because it lets you be content with who you are and what you have, it can easily be the happiest, most confident, and safest place to be. Plus, being mindful provides you hope that you can do so much more with life. By far, it is the one solution that will allow you to enjoy life to the fullest. The simple trick lies in not forgetting why something is important and doing it consciously. Most people have their minds stuck elsewhere. They simply move through the day without actually living it. This state is called forgetfulness. People stuck in this state can't develop focus or stay in the present. They are either busy thinking about the past or stuck in the future. Mindfulness is the opposite of forgetfulness. Mindfulness means being there and living in the moment. A mindful state is one where you are mentally active. Your mind and the body are both in one place, and this allows you to recognize happiness around you and feel it. Being mindful doesn't require you to have special powers to stay awake. All that you have to do is find joy in the little things. Here's how you can learn to be a bit more mindful. Slow down. Rushing into things isn't always the perfect solution. Planning the future and sorting out activities is a good thing, but at times you have to slow down. Things won't always go as planned. There will be room for improvements. Just like so many others, you may also be obsessed with speed. You want to be quicker, more efficient, and more productive. To sum up, you just want to be faster. Getting out of the habit of rushing and cramming things together can be particularly difficult if you want to step in the Zen zone. This is because society rewards speed by career promotions, praise from peers, and your belief that you're doing really well. Yet, despite all the rushing around, you don't really seem to be accomplishing anything extra. If anything, you get yourself more entangled into additional tasks, paying less and less attention to each. And to top it all, rushing around doesn't help you perform any better. But what it does do is increase your stress levels and make you more disagreeable. So take a moment and slow down. You'll notice that you enjoy life more. Things will seem more interesting, and you'll have less to worry about. Enjoy the moment. Not everyone has the ability to enjoy moments, especially when you don't get what you expect. Say you get stuck in a traffic jam, the price of gas skyrockets, or you get an angry look from someone. All these experiences are disconcerting and some unnerving at best. So what do? Most likely, you compare the present moment with what you expect to happen. A traffic jam will get you late to work. The price of gas will upset your budget, and you could spend the rest of your day wondering what you did wrong to deserve that angry look. Sometimes you have to give yourself room to breathe. Why complicate your life by focusing on things that don't really matter or are beyond your control? Instead, you can ease your life by enjoying what goes well. There are so many things in life that can provide happiness. All that is required on your behalf is the effort. Many of us also miss out on life's precious moments simply because of stress. Life is unpredictable, which is why it is important to live while you can. For instance, you can find joy in the little things by learning to go with the flow. At times, life exposes you to surprises that can be good or bad. To deal with these surprises, you have to go with the flow. Going with the flow will let you engage in the reality of life. It's a Zen approach that lets you face what comes your way, and you make a choice based on that. At the same time, it also means realizing that good and bad things happen in life, and when they're beyond your control, you accept them as they come. This way, you enable yourself to make the most of the moment despite any setbacks. Another way of looking at this is that it lets you get past your failures. Accepting that you had a failure means that you face the reality of the situation. And based on that reality, you make choices to move forward. If you never accept that reality, you'll get stuck at that point in time. You'll likely move forward without changing course, and then the past will catch up with you once again. You'll get caught up in the spiral of past regrets and be in no position to enjoy the present. Have fewer expectations. Expectations can lead to disappointment if things don't go the way you want them to. In this way, expectations can be extremely damaging to your happiness and put your happiness on hold. Not to say that you shouldn't have expectations, it's just that you should have fewer expectations if you want to be happy. That said, having realistic expectations lets you accept the flaws in people. But having unrealistic expectations will most often lead to disappointment. You may have expectations from others as well as yourself. For instance, you may expect that when you work out and eat right, you'll get that perfect body, or when you put in the extra hours, you'll get that promotion. But when things don't pan out as you expected, you become frustrated, disappointed, and angry with yourself and others. Having fewer expectations lets you accept reality as it is. It also teaches you that your life can still be good without so many expectations. It is a humbling lesson that your life can be perfect as is, without expecting it to be better. Having fewer expectations will stop you from swaying up and down based on whether good or bad things happen to you. Instead, you will no longer expect good or bad things to happen, but just take them as they come. This means more contention for you and less disappointment. When you stop judging things as good or bad, you'll feel lighter and have more freedom.